This first one we've talked a lot about today is from Lena. If you could host the Clash at any track, which one would it be and why? Freddie.
Yeah, so I said perfect world, Daytona 25 lapper with the package that works. I think is the best option possible, but as of right now, we don't have that option because I don't think the package is great.
So wait, I got an idea.
Okay, good.
Do the Clash at Daytona with a totally random package that isn't what we're going to run in the 500.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, I wouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to build a new car.
No, but like something,
something different.
Big motor, no spoiler,
something different,
huge spoiler, whatever it is.
Something different.
Just something completely different that makes it a unique product.
Yeah, and hopefully it makes it where we can race. But perfect world. That would be my perfect world. Would be a 25 lap shootout at Daytona. Get it done with Tuesday afternoon, whenever you want to do it, sometime between Sunday and Sunday. Right now, I think your best option is
run it Wednesday night. I don't care.
Yeah, whenever. But right now, I think your best option, if this is what we're doing, this is what we want to do, this spectacle to draw new fans, I'm good with it. I think you have two options. You follow the Super Bowl every year. Wherever the Super Bowl's at, that's where we're going to race the week before. Every city we go to the Super Bowl has a major college stadium somewhere nearby that we can do the same exact thing. I think, or you take it international. The only caveat to that is I don't want to see this on a road course. I think if you're doing this to draw fans in, you're not going to get new fans by watching us run a road course race.
No.
So it has to be put this racetrack in a stadium. Everywhere we go has a major stadium where we can do this. Every major city in the world, I don't know about Guadalajara, but Mexico City, I'm sure, has some kind of soccer stadium or some kind of, they played football game there, right?
They have ovals down there.
Yeah, I mean, anywhere. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know what the infrastructure is around there. But this has to be, if you're doing this, I would take this track out of the Coliseum and put it at Arizona State. I think where the hell is the Super Bowl this year?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Surely there's got to be a stadium out there somewhere we can play, whether it's UNLV or something we can go to.
Dude, there's a bowl ring right next to the big track.
Yeah, you can go there.
Run the bowl ring.
Whatever it is. But just follow. If we want to stay up here, follow the Super Bowl every year. Wherever we go, follow the Super Bowl. If there's a short track, great. If not, build one in the local college stadium, like we did this year. That was what I thought was great about the first year was that was where the Super Bowl was. We were at there, and the Super Bowl was out there in SoFi. But now, or if we take it international, but I don't want to go, if we're going to Mexico City next year, which full transparency this is something funny that happened on Twitter the other day. I was on the plane getting ready to take off for California. And we had just talked to somebody. I was talking to somebody in the lobby about, are we done going to California yet? Like, is this run its course? And I was like, man, I hope so. And then Adam Stern tweeted, I think we're going to Mexico City or Guadalajara. And I was like, well, I'd rather go back to L.A. if that's the case. And it has nothing to do with race or xenophobia or whatever else. It was from the fact that everybody that went to Mexico City for the last race there, which was probably 15, 20 years ago, had a miserable experience. They were locked in their rooms. You couldn't leave unless you were taking a shuttle somewhere. It just wasn't a good place to hang out. Like, when I go to a racetrack, I usually go out and have dinner or go to a bar and hang out. Like, if you can't do that in an area, like, I don't want to be there. It has nothing to do with feeling safe or whatnot. Like, if I'm under some kind of restriction, I know somebody that just went there for a race recently 2 weeks ago that said that they probably didn't. I knew this was potentially coming up at some point. Like, we're going to go to Mexico City. So I asked them, how was the atmosphere? How was it? And they're like, well, it wasn't great. It was okay. I wouldn't have gone anywhere by myself. And then that person ended up in the hospital for a couple days because of something they ate. Like, I didn't have that concern when I was in LA this week. Can I eat this? Can I drink this water? So I don't care about what the people are. My concern is the overall fan experience. And if I'm not going to enjoy myself being there, I feel like everybody's not going to enjoy themselves being there. So it was kind of tongue in cheek of like, I think I'd rather go. And I think if you polled the garage, I think it would sway heavily in the favor if you said, would you like to go back to the L.A. Coliseum or would you like to go to Guadalajara, Mexico to run the Clash next year? What would that vote look like?
I'm going to L.A.
Yeah. So, and it's got nothing to do with anything other than the fan experience or my personal experience at each place. But the funny part was I tweeted that and then I flew for 6 hours and I landed and poor Brett was getting demolished because I think people were remembering some of his wild Chicago takes and they just assumed it was him and they were calling him all kind of names and I thought it was hysterical and then he had a tweet that he didn't tweet it. So full disclosure, it was me, but it has nothing to do. I don't mind leaving the country. I don't mind going anywhere in the world, but as long as it's a good experience and we're going to get out, have fun, enjoy the area, and somebody that wants us to be there.
Yeah, I agree. I got a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I mean, listen, and listen. If that's the case, if you're not gonna do that, if we're gonna go to a road course, the best that's just like we talked about. That's not gonna be the best racing product. That's gonna be exciting for people that have never seen a race before. I remember that first year we went to. People when we were running into each other and wrecking every 5 minutes. People were on their feet. Every pass in a heat race, that place was on their feet, jumping up and down because they've never seen it before. We talked about that first year was like 40% new fans or something like that. They had never seen like that before, so they were getting excited about it. Take that to somewhere else. It's not going to be a great race, but it's going to be a spectacle, maybe draw new fans in. If you're just looking for the best race, let's go to Charlotte. Charlotte's going to put on a great race. It's going to be a 1.5 mile track. That's what this package is for. If guys don't make the race, first of all, you don't have to send 13 guys home. We can all race there. But if you do want to trim the field down and send guys home, they're going home. They're going home an hour from the racetrack. They're not sitting in, damn Colleague and Legacy. Out of their 4 cars, they had one make the race, and they landed at 10 o'clock last night because they didn't make the race. They had to load all their up. Then they sat there yesterday because the president flew in, and they got locked in the airport for 6 hours or something like that. So now they're there for an whole extra day. Didn't even make the race. So now you go to Charlotte, don't qualify, you go home, load your go home. It's an hour away.
Well, I guess we'll find out about 2025 soon enough.
Hopefully.
This next one is from Bryce. We talked a little bit about this earlier. How much of an effect will the new Ford and Toyota bodies have on drafting and working together in Daytona? Freddie.
I think looking at, I don't know, I wasn't involved in any conversations that went on but signing the car, but looking at the front of the Camry now, it looks to me like we should be able to push better. I don't know. We'll see next week how that plays out, but I think that was a big advantage the Fords had in the last couple of years was they were able, their cars lined up better and pushed each other better and could stay kind of connected, which was a huge deal with this package. So I think that going into it, I'm optimistic that our cars will be able to push better, and hopefully that comes to fruition.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna. Looking at the Ford, I don't know if it's gonna change that much. So,
yeah, I mean, and it doesn't have to. I think you guys were.
Yeah,
I mean, as long as they went back to what they would have.
I think most of our changes are at other parts, not the very center of the nose where where that would be a factor.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, you never know, and we will find out soon enough. I know one guy that will find out if it's going to push good or not, and that's probably my guy.
Yeah, your guy for sure.
So,
Last one is from Mike. Expectations for Spire Motorsports after the huge investment. TJ.
I mean, from the stuff that they've done, you gotta think they're trying to make a pretty big step here. I mean, you don't do what they've done and spend the money they have without expecting some. There's got to be some expectations. Got to be kind of high for, in my opinion, over there. But man, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be super hard.
We talk about it on here before. You can't just easily make a 5-position jump in this sport, you know, and people are like, what does it take? If you look at the caliber of drivers, just go from a guy that runs 20th every week to a guy that runs 15th every week is a big jump. And that's a guy that's just outside the playoff versus a playoff guy.
Yeah.
And that jump is gigantic. And it's going to take time. You're not just going to go from where they are to putting all 3 cars in the playoffs or even really having all 3 cars in contention to make the playoffs. That's just an unrealistic expectation. I think that they would hope to get one in. I think, it's hard to say. Corey's probably their best opportunity just for the fact of, he can be a little more consistent at times. And I think he's getting better at being consistent. That was one of the big knocks on his career early was not being consistent. I think he runs a little better consistently now. I still don't see any of their cars making the playoffs this year unless they pop a win off somewhere. But, you never know. They could surprise us. They are definitely taking the necessary steps to make this happen. We criticized teams on here before about, teams like Rick Ware Racing who have taken necessary steps now to improve their program. Spire now doing, me and Brett used to joke around. Spire had 3 charters, didn't own a race car. They would, lease cars or lease the charters out. And so they're definitely doing exactly what they need to do to get better, and now it's just the process of how can they get better and how much of a step they're going to take a step forward this year. There's no doubt about that. It's just how much of a step forward can they take?
Like the step we took last year. I don't. You can't. We won't be able to. That'll be hard to repeat. Something
that I think might hamstring Spire a little bit is the fact that Chevy is in this limbo year of the Ford and Toyotas are expecting to get a little bit better, and they're kind of staying the same. Maybe I'm sure small improvements somewhere, but that might hurt them a little bit. Maybe moving forward next year when they get a new car and we don't, whatever the plans are. they may take a bigger step, but that could hamstring them a little bit this year of taking a much bigger step.